of Chairside 3D printing with Vericom's eco-friendly resins, L100, and its post-curing machine, C100. I hope you will find my lecture informative and engaging, and I look forward to sharing my knowledge and experiences in 3D printing with you. Let's get started. I'm a prosthodontist and the executive director of a chemical, and it stands for CAD/CAM Master Class in Korea. And I'm proud to say that chemical has been the first training program for digital dentistry in Korea since 2018. Our program is a comprehensive two-week training course. We teach dentists and hygienists on how to utilize digital technology to design and manufacture dental restoration using 5-axis milling and 3D printing. We believe that the digital dentistry is the future, and we are committed to training our dentists with the latest cutting-edge techniques and technologies. Vericom has been a fantastic supporter for our training program, and I appreciate Vericom making a high-quality, eco-friendly resins for dental professionals. One of the advantages of 3D printing is ability to produce provisional restorations right away at the chairside with minimal waste of material. And plus, the capability to make multiple restorations simultaneously. Vericom is located in this amazing city called Chuncheon and is surrounded by a mother nature. It's no wonder that Vericom is able to make such a high quality and eco-friendly dental material in this beautiful natural setting. It's always great to see when a company can take advantage of the surrounding environment and create a positive atmosphere when they're developing new materials. Vericom is a dental materials company that started in Korea in 1998. They specialize in manufacturing composite resin, and their nano-hybrid ceramic block is a big hit in Korea, Japan, and in other Asian countries. And now they're expanding their business worldwide and releasing new innovative materials every year. I've been in the 3D printing industry since 2015, and I have tried a bunch of different dental 3D printing resins so far in my office. Some of them might have worked great, but Jesus, some of them had a very bad smell and stink. So it was like being hit on my face with a toxic cloud every time I opened the bottle of the resins. But then I found Vericom 3D printing resins, and I have been mainly using them in my office for the past 5 years. And you know what? I hardly notice any chemical smells in Vericom's 3D printing resins. A lot of other users that's here notice the same thing as me. There's no toxic smells in these resins. So if you're looking for a 3D printing resin that not only works great, but also that you don't want to smell harmful chemicals, you gotta try Vericom's eco-friendly 3D printing resins. VOC, the volatile organic compounds, are a major concern in 3D printing, including photopolymerizations that is commonly used in dental 3D printing. VOCs are potential harmful chemicals that can be released into the air and during the printing process and even the post-curing process. They can have negative effects on both human health and the environment. So breathing in high concentration levels of VOCs can cause respiratory problems and other symptoms when you're exposed to prolonged time in your printing room. So it's important to use resins that emit lower levels of VOCs and install a ventilation system in your workplace to minimize the exposure of VOCs. This is a guideline for actions according to the levels of the VOC level. If the room you are in has a total VOC level exceeding 2,000 parts per billion, and you stay there for several hours, you may be at the risk of experiencing a health problem from high exposure of VOC. In this case, it is recommended that you immediately ventilate the area to get some fresh air. But most of the resins from the 3D printing manufacturer is above 2000 ppb. Vericom's 3D printing resin is a great choice because the resins are specially formulated to reduce VOC. What caught my eye was that the VOC in Vericom surgical guide, the VOC was undetectable. That means there's no VOCs in Vericom surgical guide resin. So Vericom is making a great effort to develop an eco-friendly photopolymer that prioritizes the safety of dental professionals. It's truly impressive that all Vericom 3D printing resin lineups have a low VOC level. Vericom is leading the way in the industry by offering low VOC 3D printing resins. As 3D printing becomes more common in dentistry, it's essential for manufacturers to make sure that their photopolymers are safe both for us and for the environment. This is a newly developing material from Vericom, and this is a permanent 3D printing resin that they're developing. And I've already tested in my mouth. And Andy, who is my co-founder of my lecture course, he treated me. This is my lower second molar, right? And I feel any hypersensitivity in my mouth, in my teeth, and it's functioning well because I treated last June, so it's almost like 8 or 9 months. I have seen many other companies that they're insisting that they have a permanent 3D printing resin, but I don't know. We have to, Vericom is a very conservative company when making a new material, so let's see the future, how it changes. So, do you enjoy having a cup of coffee in the morning? Personally, I can't imagine starting a day without it. I can now enjoy espresso at the comfort of on my own home. Thank you, Nespresso. I think that 3D printers and resins is like comparing them to coffee machines and coffee beans. Just as the quality of the coffee beans determines its taste and aroma of your coffee, the quality of the resins is what ultimately determines the quality of your 3D printing. So the key factor to achieve the best results in 3D printing is selecting a high-quality resin, much like a premium coffee beans are essential for a decent cup of coffee in the morning for me. So this is my dental office. I once had more than 20 printers in my office at one point. I think the machine itself playing a supporting role, providing a basic functions to produce the final products. I want my machine to be compact in size, so I can place it next to me and use it every day. And plus, I want the machine that is very easy to use. So this is Vericom's first LCD printer, the Magic L100. It is specially designed to be compact and convenient for chairside 3D printing. The printer is only slightly larger than the size of an A4 paper, so you can place it any available place in your office. Despite its small size, L100 shows an excellent 3D printing performance. So you can print your provisional restoration, such as crown and bridges, surgical guides, and even one full arch of model. So L100 is an LCD, uses 4K monochrome screen and a para-LED array for its light source. So 4K resolution allows for exceptional detail in your printing, and it's an ideal choice for dental applications that require high accuracy. So L100 features a user-friendly magnetic build plate that simplifies easy leveling. You don't need to level your build plate with L100. I can certainly understand how frustrating it could be if you repeat unscrewing and tightening to level the build plate manually like this. It's time-consuming and can be a real hassle because you have to repeat this every time when you take the plate build plate out of your printer. The magnetic build plate allows for easy placement and removal, and it ensures proper leveling for the next print, and it reduces the risk of malpositioning, which is a potential threat for printing failure. Let's say a random object accidentally fall into the vat. I just did a quick test by placing a thick rubber band on the screen and see what happens to the magnetic build plate. When it comes down to bottom to start printing, the build plate failed to make a full contact on the screen. Then the magnetic build plate detaches right away and protects the screen from further pressure. And I quickly noticed that something went wrong, and it's disrupting initial layer printing. Not only does a magnetic build plate prevent damage to the screen, but it also makes it easier to quickly detect this issue. In situations where there may be a support residues or small objects remaining in the vat that could disrupt the initial layer printing, it may cause a slight misalignment of the build plate. But don't worry about this with magnetic build plate. If the front object is small and the initial layers of the printing is fully attached in the build plate, L100 has a high possibility that the subsequent printing layer will be successful. Another user-friendly feature of L100 is the extruded screw below the vat. This design makes it safe to handle the vat on the floor, or if I want to put the vat back into the printer, you don't have to worry about the risk of scratching the film, because even the slightest damage on the film can result less than ideal outcome in your 3D printing. This feature indeed a small yet significant design modification that can greatly enhance the user's experience. Tension force is also important to keep in mind for bottom-up 3D printer like this, because it helps us understand how to increase the chances of successful 3D printing. High tension forces between the printing layers and film can lead to printing failures. Why it is essential to minimize the tension film as much as possible. The tension force can be minimized by reducing the build plate size, slowing down the printing speed, increasing the lifting distance or waiting time, and using a low viscosity resin. Vericom is using only the center of the LCD screen to use a small build plate. I think this is a clever and a simple solution to reduce the tension force. The advantage of minimizing tension force to improve printing outcomes outweigh any drawbacks that comes from the smaller build size. My primary use of Chairside 3D printing is to produce crowns and surgical guides to my patients for the next appointment in 1 or 2 days, or at the same day if they can wait for an hour. I don't expect to use this chairside printing for mass production, but rather for making customized restoration in a timely manner. Let's talk about the speed of L100. The printing speed of L100 is impressive. It can print 12 implant bridges with a layer thickness of 100 micrometers in just 24 minutes. I think this efficiency is just sufficient in chairside 3D printing. The speed settings are intentionally set at 1/3 of the factory setting to ensure a stable printing as a company side. So if you want to speed up your 3D printing, you can go inside the software and you can change the speed of the two types. It's bottom lift speed and the lifting speed. Then you can speed up your 3D printing. So it takes the same amount of printing time, whether you print one bridge or you fill the whole build plate with the multiple bridges, because the print needs to complete the same number of layers for each print. So if you have multiple crown and bridges to be printed, it's definitely worth printing them all at once to increase the overall efficiency. Let's discuss about the washing time, because I told you that it takes about 24 minutes to print 12 implant crown bridges. So there are two main solvents that are commonly used. The first one is isopropyl alcohol, and the second one is tripropylene glycol monomethyl ether. We call this TPMs, it's a long word. IPA is often used for washing on polymerized monomer on the surface, but it's important to note that it's inflammable and it's toxic. So you have to keep proper safety precautions when you're handling it. The second one is TPM, and it's non-flammable and not toxic, which makes it a safer alternative, but it's a little bit expensive than IPA and requires an additional wash with water or with a resin detergent. This study found that IPA and TPA both works fine and enhance biocompatibility of pre-printed materials. So washing up to 90 minutes is okay. But the study recommended a minimum washing time of 15 minutes. And 15 minutes will enhance the biocompatibility, and also it doesn't critically impact the mechanical strengths. I use foam wash from Foam Labs to wash my prints. It's convenient because it automatically lifts after washing is completed. If you have two foam washes, you can wash the prints with the first washer with TPM for 15 minutes, and then you can follow up with an additional wash with water. Just place the build plate with the crowns together because it's a magnetic build plate. You don't have to worry about the stress that you have to level again with manually. So I love this build plate. So for your reminder, I want to review the mechanical properties of polymer crowns and veneers. So the recommended minimum value of flexural strengths according to ISO 10477 and ADA recommendation is the range is from 50 megapascal to 80 megapascal. And according to Journal of Prosthodontics, the optimal value for flexural strength is 100 to 120 megapascal, and flexural modulus is between 2 to 3 gigapascal, the toughness of 1 to 1.5 megapascal. And this is a study in 2020. The study found that how post-curing time affects the mechanical and color properties of 3D printed crown and bridges. And the post-curing machine used in this study, they use 0.2 milliwatts per centimeter square, and it's kind of a weak curing machine at that time. And they recommended curing time at least 1 hour is necessary to achieve the best biocompatibility and the mechanical properties for printed bridges. The study applied a similar approach used for conventional resin, and it used longer curing time at a lower intensity to prevent resin shrinkage. So it's like almost a 3-year ago study. In contrast of this previous study, this recent study found that post-curing for a short time at a high light intensity resulted in a similar or high mechanical properties compared to that of previous studies. So this study printed bridges using Vericom Magic D temporary crown with Ashiga's UV printer. The restoration were then washed and cured with P-Cure from Straumann. In this study, the test group was divided into 4 subgroups according to the light intensities, and G80 group is the same light intensity used in Vericom's post-curing machine, C100. So the highest flexural strength was found in group 80 and G80 and G120 that post-cured for 20 minutes. And you can see the dashed orange line. The maximum flexural strength is between 120 to 140. Remember these values. And this study also found that the accuracy of the 3D printed bridges they did not significantly affected by the light intensity and curing time. So it didn't shrink. This is Vericom's curing machine C100. C100 is designed to work perfectly with Vericom's 3D printing resins. You can easily cure for optimal mechanical strength and biocompatibility. This is an effective post-curing method using C100. First, I cure the occlusive surface facing upward for 5 minutes at level 5. Then I flip the restoration over and cure the other side for an additional 5 minutes at the same level. This method ensures that both sides of restorations are fully cured. Vericom performed a study to evaluate mechanical properties of post-cured bridges with 5 + 5 minutes, total 10 minutes, curing method with Vericom's temporary crown resins. The results show the highest level strength with C100 compared to that from other curing machines in the market. You can see, do you remember the values that I showed you in the study? It was the maximum strength was between 120 to 140 megapascal, and according to the Vericom study, it's almost 145 megapascals for only 10 minutes of post-curing. Beyond the mechanical properties, color stability is also important. Maintaining the color stability of 3D printed crown is essential for achieving aesthetically pleasing clinical results. Vericom understands this importance and developed color-stable 3D printing resin that can be used for interior resins and for trying smiles. And when it comes to making a crown and bridges, accuracy and fit are both really important for clinical success. Whether it's a temporary or permanent restoration, it needs to fit perfectly in the patient's mouth. As we can see in the left image, the upper image is a printed provisionals, and the lower bridge is milled with Vericom's zirconia blocks for a permanent restoration. Despite the differences in manufacturing method, they must have the same level of accuracy and adaptation in patients' mouths. This highlights the significance of choosing a high-precision 3D printer like L100 and proper curing method with C100 to attain repeatable, precise restoration like this. Vericom's model resin is a high-quality material that has been developed for dental 3D printing. Its excellent mechanical properties is cured only for 5 minutes with C100, and the flexural strength and the flexural modulus make it a popular choice for creating dental models. When it comes to printing surgical guides, it's important to have a resin that can withstand the stress and pressure during the implant drilling process. Vericom's guide resin has outstanding toughness, which means it is less likely to fracture during the surgery. You can post-cure your surgical guide quickly and accurately with C100, ensuring that they're strong and reliable during the surgery. And if you can check the windows of the surgical guide, you can check this secure and accurate surgical guides that fits well with the model. Lastly, I want to introduce Magic Glaze to you. I print lots of temporary dentures and flippers in my office. It's fantastic material that you can easily customize to match your patient's natural teeth color and gum color. With this kit, you can add some aesthetics to your 3D printed dentures and flippers to make a pleasing and personalized provisional restoration. You can check out this video on YouTube in Vericom's channel, and this really helps you to how to mix the colors and apply them to your printed dentures and flippers using Vericom's Magic Glaze. This video shows a step-by-step process that is easy to follow. So this is coloring the flippers. So to wrap up this lecture, thank you for your attention. If you're hesitant to finding a resin that is eco-friendly and you want to ensure the mechanical properties and you want the stable printing, you should select Vericom's resin and their printer and their post-curing machine. Thank you very much for your attention. Bye-bye.